On March 18, 1925, a tornado crossed 219 miles of Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana and killed 695 people. Nobody warned them. No radar, no siren, no phone call. Only what your great-grandmother knew by looking at the sky. Number 14 kept more families alive than any technology ever invented. Number 8 was taught in American schools for 50 years, and it was dangerously wrong. Number 3 still kills people today. Hit subscribe. Let us count down the 20 forgotten tornado survival rules every American family knew before weather radar. Number 20. Read the color of the sky. Before there was a meteorologist on television, there was a woman on a back porch in Kansas looking up for a color that does not belong in nature. Green. Not gray, not black, not the bruised purple of an ordinary thunderhead. Green, like pond water held to a window. Farmers said the sky had gone the color of an old Coke bottle. Your great-grandmother did not need to know why. She needed to know that when the light through the kitchen window turned that shade at 6 in the evening, she started moving. Here is what she was seeing. That color comes from a storm so tall it is holding an enormous column of ice. Low sunlight passes through miles of that ice and comes out stained green. Scientists have measured it. The color is real and it tracks storm depth. It did not guarantee a tornado. It meant something better. It meant this storm has the engine for one. A woman on a porch in 1936 treated that green light as her only advance notice. Number 19. Watch the animals before you watch the sky. The cattle knew first. Every farm family in Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Missouri believed it and arranged their afternoon around it. When a herd drifted to the low corner of the pasture, when chickens went to roost at 4 in the afternoon, when the dog crawled under the porch and would not come out for a bone, that was information delivered free hours before anything showed in the sky. Let us be honest, there is no science saying cows lie down before a tornado. That folklore never held up, but something real sits underneath it. Animals hear infrasound, the low rumble below human hearing that travels far ahead of a severe storm. A dog is a barometer with a heartbeat. So when your great-grandfather said the stock is acting funny, he was not being superstitious. He was reading a sensor network he did not have to power. And in 1941, 40 animals who had noticed something you had not were worth listening to. Number 18. When the hail stops, you have minutes. Everybody watched for hail. Almost nobody understood what it was telling them. The rule was not hail means danger. It was this: hail, then hard rain, then a strange scrubbed quiet, and then it comes. That was the closest thing to a countdown clock a family in 1948 owned. She would hear it start on the tin porch roof, pea-sized, then marbles, then something the size of a hen's egg cracking off the smokehouse. Then the hail quit. Then the rain came down so hard, the barn disappeared. And then, and this is the part nobody who lived through it forgets, everything went still. No wind, no birds, nothing but water dripping off the eaves. That silence was the signature. Hail falls out of the strongest updraft in the storm, and that updraft is the engine that spins up a tornado. The quiet is the storm inhaling. Families in the Ozarks had a phrase for it: too quiet to be quiet. That was the moment a mother stopped asking and started ordering. Cellar, now. She had 3 minutes and she knew it. Number 17, if the sky lowers, it is already dangerous. Long before anyone said wall cloud on television, farmers had a name for it. They called it the sky dropping. An ordinary thunderstorm has a flat gray bottom, level as a floor, and it rains. What they watched for was different. On the backside of a storm, at the edge of the rain, a piece of the cloud base would sag, a dark block lowering like something let down on a rope. And it turned, slowly, visibly, like water going down a drain, in a way that made the back of your neck go cold. That is a wall cloud, the visible base of the updraft, the exact spot where a tornado forms if one is going to. And it turned out to be exactly right. Spotters today are trained to look for the same thing in the same place. The difference is that a spotter in 2026 watches it from 3 miles off in a truck with a radio. Your great-grandmother watched it from her own front yard with 4 children behind her. Number 16, tap the barometer twice a day. There was a wooden case on the wall in a lot of American front halls between the coat hooks and the family photographs. It cost $2 to $6 at Sears in the 1930s, real money, and it earned every cent. The ritual was fixed. Morning and evening, someone tapped the glass with a knuckle. Tap, tap. The needle jumped and settled at its true reading. Then they moved the brass pointer to mark where it sat. Why tap it? The mechanism stuck with friction, and the tap freed it. Why the pointer? Because a barometer's number is meaningless. The direction is everything. A needle that fell visibly between breakfast and lunch meant a violent system was bearing down fast. A grandmother in Alabama in 1944 could not tell you one thing about millibars. She could tell you that when the needle drops like that in the spring, with the air already thick and warm and wrong, you fill the water jugs and find the children. That $2 instrument could not tell you where. It told you which day to be afraid, and in a world with no warnings, that was the whole game. Number 15, a funnel in the clouds is a rumor. Dust on the ground is a fact. Everybody looks for the funnel, the elegant gray cone hanging out of the sky, but a tornado does not need one. That cone is only water vapor, made visible by a pressure drop. Plenty never form a complete one. Plenty are buried in rain. Plenty are the same color as the sky behind them. So the men who had walked a section line the next morning and found a barn reduced to kindling taught their children something else. Never mind the cloud, watch the ground, because a tornado on the ground is picking things up. Dirt, shingles, fence posts, whole trees. That debris cloud, a boiling swirl of dust with things spinning in it that should not be spinning, is the confirmation. When the funnel above is invisible, the ground never lies. The debris cloud is the tornado. The funnel is only how it dressed for the occasion. First pattern break. Here is where this story gets strange. You need to understand the ERA these rules come from, because it explains why they existed. For decades, the United States Weather Bureau forbade the word tornado in public forecasts. Forbade it. The reasoning was that the word caused panic, and forecasters could not predict tornadoes anyway. So it was scrubbed. Storms became severe local storms. Unsettled conditions, anything but the truth. An entire generation lived in the most tornado-prone landmass on Earth, and their government would not say the word. That is why your great-grandmother read cloud color and cattle and barometer needles. She was not being quaint, she was abandoned. Nobody was coming to warn her, so she built her own warning system out of a dish towel, a porch, and 50 years of looking. The first successful tornado forecast in American history came on March 25, 1948, when 2 Air Force officers, Ernest Fawbush and Robert Miller, predicted one at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. They were right. Aircraft were moved. It took a horrifying 1953. Waco, then Flint, then Worcester, hundreds dead in one season before Congress funded a real radar network. Every rule before that was invented by people who had nothing else. Number 14. The freight train sound means it is too late for information. Every survivor account says the same thing. It sounded like a freight train. Not thunder, not wind, a continuous, grinding, mechanical roar that filled the world. A man in Mississippi called it the sound of the earth being torn like cloth, and nearly every account includes the same detail. You could not tell where it came from. It was everywhere. Here is what your great-grandparents knew about that sound. They did not treat it as a warning. They treated it as a verdict. By the time you hear it, You are out of decisions. You are not going to the cellar. You are not gathering children from the far field. You are getting to the lowest, most interior space in 6 seconds and covering your head. That is why every other rule on this list exists. The green sky, the hail, the quiet, the barometer, the animals, the wall cloud. All of it buys you the minutes before the freight train. The sound is not part of the warning system. The sound is the deadline you were racing. A father in Arkansas in 1949 taught his children one thing about that noise. If you hear it, stop looking for me. Get down. Number 13, the bell, the whistle, and the phone chain. Before sirens, a town warned itself with rope, steam, and gossip. And it worked. Sometimes it was the church bell rung, in a pattern that was not the pattern for services and not the pattern for a funeral. A fast, wrong, urgent clanging that brought every head in town up at once. Sometimes it was the mill whistle, held down flat until the pressure gave out. The genius part was the phone. Rural America ran on party lines where a dozen households shared one circuit and every house had its own ring. 2 shorts and a long for the Hendersons, 3 shorts for the Wilsons. Everybody could hear everybody else's ring and everybody listened in. That nosiness became a warning system. The operator, usually one woman who knew every soul in the county by voice, could put one message on the whole line at once, or a farmer who could see it crossing his own quarter section cranked the phone and told one neighbor who told 2 more, and the news moved 12 miles in 4 minutes. Not reliable, but it saved lives in an era when the alternative was silence. Number 12, shoes by the bed, laced. The smallest rule on the list may be the smartest one on it. Every night in tornado season, mothers made their children set their shoes at the foot of the bed, not kicked into the closet, placed side by side. Laces loosened so a scared 8-year-old could jam a foot in and run. The reason is one nobody thinks about until they have seen the aftermath. Then they never stop. A tornado does not just destroy a house, it converts it into a field of broken glass, splintered lumber, and nails. Thousands of nails, standing up out of shattered boards across every surface for a quarter mile. And the moment it passes, people come out, barefoot, in the dark, to find each other. The injuries are not all from the tornado. A real share come in the hour after. Puncture wounds, infection, before antibiotics were a sure thing that could take a leg weeks after the sky had cleared. So the shoes went by the bed. Every night, all spring, it cost nothing. It took 4 seconds, and it meant a family could come up out of a cellar into a world with no house in it and walk through the wreckage of their own lives without bleeding. Number 11, the metal box in the cellar. In the corner of the storm cellar, on a shelf your grandfather built out of scrap lumber, there was a box, usually steel, sometimes an ammunition can, sometimes a lard tin sealed with tape. Inside was the family, in paper form, birth certificates, the deed, discharge papers from the war, and photographs, always photographs, because those were the only copies that existed anywhere on Earth. This was not sentiment. It was hard-eyed practicality from people who understood something we forgot. A tornado does not take your house, it takes your proof. Think about 1951, no cloud backup, no county database on a phone. If the courthouse burned and courthouses burned, your deed might be the only evidence that the ground you stood on was yours. If the photographs went, your mother's face went with them and never came back. Families who kept that box were rebuilding within a month. Families who lost it spent years proving they existed. The box lived in the cellar year-round, under 3 feet of Oklahoma dirt, in the one place a storm could not reach, waiting the way it had waited every day for 20 years. Number 10. The cellar was not a hole. It was a second house. We picture a storm cellar as an empty concrete box. That is not what it was. The fruit cellar behind the farmhouse, dug into a bank, roofed with timber, and covered over with earth, entered through a slanted wooden door with a chain and a hook, was a functioning room. It smelled like cool dirt and vinegar. Along the walls were shelves of mason jars, tomatoes and peaches and pickled beets glowing in the lamplight, and down there, permanently, was everything a family needed to survive being buried alive: a kerosene lantern and matches in a jar to keep them dry, a jug of water, a quilt, always a quilt, because a hole in the ground in April is cold and children go into shock, and a hand tool, a spade, or a pry bar. And this is the part people forget the reason for. It was not for gardening. It was so that if the house came down on top of the door, and houses did, you could dig yourself out. They did not just plan to survive the tornado. They planned to survive being trapped underground afterward, in the dark, with no one coming. We call them simple. They were running risk assessments we would fail today. Number 9, the Southwest Corner Rule. And here is the first one that was flat out wrong. For 100 years, American school children were taught to shelter in the southwest corner of the basement. It was in textbooks, in civil defense pamphlets on the wall of the school. It came from an 1887 book by John Park Finley, an early American tornado researcher, and the logic sounded airtight. Tornadoes generally travel southwest to northeast, so debris gets thrown ahead of the storm. So the southwest corner, the one the storm has already passed, should be safest. Millions believe this. Your grandmother probably believed it. Teachers marched whole classrooms into the southwest corner for drills. Then, in the 1970s, researchers led by Joseph Eagleman did what nobody had bothered to do. They walked the damage. Lubbock in 1970, Topeka in 1966. They mapped where the debris landed and where people actually lived. The southwest corner was not safest. Often it was the worst place in the basement because the southwest wall is the one the storm hits first, and the debris comes in on top of you. 50 years of confident, universal, official American advice. Wrong. And it took somebody willing to go look. Second pattern break. Here is what nobody wants to say out loud. Some of what your great-grandparents knew was brilliant. Some of it got people killed. We love the story where Grandma knew something the experts missed. Several times she absolutely did, but she also opened her windows. She also went to the southwest corner. She also believed a highway overpass was shelter. And people died doing those things, believing they were doing the smart thing their mother taught them. Here is what separates good folk knowledge from bad, and it applies to more than tornadoes. The rules that survived contact with science were built on observation. Somebody watched a lowering cloud rotate before a tornado came out of it. Somebody walked through debris and cut their feet open. Those rules came from eyes. The rules that failed were built on theory. Nobody ever watched a house explode from pressure. Somebody reasoned it out. The reasoning was wrong, and it spread anyway because it sounded good. Her eyes were excellent. Her physics was not, which is what you would expect from a smart person doing her best with no instruments and no help. Number 8, open the windows. This is the big one. In every pamphlet, taught in every school, repeated by every uncle, and wrong for its entire 80-year run. The belief went like this: a tornado contains extremely low pressure. Your house contains normal pressure. When it passes over, the difference will make the house explode outward like a balloon. So open the windows to equalize. And so, with a tornado bearing down, American families ran through their houses cranking windows open. Fathers upstairs, mothers throwing up the sash, children sent to the back bedroom, all of them spending the most valuable seconds of their lives on a chore. Every part of this is wrong. Houses are not airtight. They are leaky, vented structures full of gaps, and pressure equalizes on its own faster than the tornado can pass. Houses do not explode, they get hit. 200-mile-an-hour wind gets under an eave and lifts the roof off. The walls fall outward without their brace, and to a person standing in the rubble, it looks exactly like an explosion. Opening the windows made it worse. You invited the wind inside. But here is the real cost. People spent their last 30 seconds on it instead of going to the basement. The National Weather Service says it plainly: Do not open windows. Go. Number 7, the mattress. Now back to the ones that worked. The rule was simple and universal. When you go down, take the mattress. A mother in Missouri in 1954 heard the quiet, grabbed the youngest, and hauled the mattress off the bed, dragging it down the hall in one motion because she had rehearsed it. In the basement, everybody got under the stairs and the mattress went on top, sometimes held overhead by the 2 oldest kids, arms locked, while the mother lay across the little ones. This was not comfort. This was armor. Because here is what a tornado actually does to a human being, and it is not what the movies show. People are rarely picked up and carried away. The storm turns the neighborhood into projectiles and fires them at you. A 2x4 at 160 miles an hour. A brick, a piece of your neighbor's roof. Flying debris causes the overwhelming majority of tornado deaths. A mattress does not stop a car. It absolutely stops a shingle, a fistful of glass, a brick coming down through the floor above you. It is a shield you already own. Emergency agencies still recommend this. Same rule, same object. The mattress from 1954 is still in official guidance in 2026 because she was solving exactly the right problem. Number 6, the washtub over the children. If there was no basement, and in the South there often was not because of the water table, families improvised. One improvisation shows up over and over in survivor accounts from Alabama and Mississippi. The wash tub. Every house had one. That big galvanized zinc tub 3 feet across that hung on a nail on the back porch and did double duty as the laundry and the Saturday night bath. When the sound came and there was nowhere to go, mothers put the children in the hallway, turned that wash tub upside down over them, and lay on top of it. Sit with that image. It is the most brutal and most loving thing on this list. A woman with no shelter and no options, using her own body as the weight-holding sheet metal over her kids. In Texas, a family put their 2 youngest in the cast-iron bathtub and pulled a door off its hinges to lay across the top. That detail shows up again and again in oral histories from the 50s, and it is the principle we teach now. Get low, get something solid between you and the sky. Cover the head. She did not know the statistics on head trauma. She knew things fall, children are small, and her back would hold. Number 5, count the walls, not the corners. Once the southwest corner myth died, what was left was the rule that worked. Careful families knew it long before any researcher published it. Put as many walls between yourself and the outside as you possibly can. That is the whole thing, not compass directions, not which side the storm is coming from. Walls. Every wall is one more thing a flying 2x4 has to get through, one more chance for debris to lose energy. So, lowest floor, basement if you have one, and under the stairs specifically because a staircase is a triangular truss and the strongest structure in an ordinary house. If no basement, the most interior room on the ground floor, a hallway with no exterior walls, a bathroom. And here is why bathrooms show up in every piece of tornado advice ever written. A bathroom is small, it sits in the middle of the house, and it is wrapped in plumbing. Those pipes act like rebar. It holds together when the rooms around it do not. And avoid wide-span rooms, living rooms, gymnasiums, anything with a big unsupported roof. Those come down first. Your great-grandmother said, get in the middle of the house. Modern science says maximize the structural barriers between occupant and exterior envelope. Same sentence, better vocabulary. Third pattern break. Here is what we actually lost. We did not lose these rules because they stopped working. We lost them because we got something better, then stopped paying attention. The first purpose-built weather radars went up in 1957. Doppler, which could finally see rotation inside a storm, rolled out nationwide in the early 1990s as NEXRAD. Warning times went from essentially 0 to roughly 13 minutes. Sirens went up in every county. Now there is a phone in your pocket that screams at you, an extraordinary achievement. It has saved tens of thousands of lives. Nobody is nostalgic for 1925, but something got traded away. Your great-grandmother's system had no single point of failure. It ran on her eyes, her ears, her neighbors, and a $2 instrument on the wall. It never lost power or signal. Ours needs everything to work. And here's the thing about the storms that kill the most people. They arrive at 2 in the morning when the phone is charging in another room and the siren cannot be heard through a closed window, because sirens were built to warn people outdoors. They arrive wrapped in rain after the power is already gone. The old knowledge was not better, it was more resilient. The family that has both is the family that comes out of the cellar. Number 4, never try to outrun it in a car. This one, your grandfather learned by watching somebody try. A car feels like safety. It has a roof, an engine, and a direction. Everything in your body says drive. And in 1957, on a 2-lane road outside a Texas town with a wall of black coming across the field, that instinct killed people efficiently. Here is the arithmetic he did without knowing it. A tornado can move at 60 miles an hour and does not use roads. You do. It can change direction. You cannot see where it is going because it is buried in rain, and your windshield is a smeared mess. And the traffic, this is the part nobody expects, is the real killer. When a city evacuates by car, the roads gridlock, and a gridlocked road in a tornado path is not a road. It is a row of parked coffins. That is not theoretical. On May 31, 2013, near El Reno, Oklahoma, thousands fled onto the highways ahead of an enormous tornado and jammed them solid. Multiple people died in vehicles that night. A car offers almost no protection, no walls full of glass, and a tornado will roll it. The old rule was not do not drive, it was do not gamble. Number 3, the overpass is not shelter, it is a wind tunnel. This is the rule still killing people right now, and it did not come from your great-grandmother. It came from television. On April 26, 1991, a news crew near Andover, Kansas, took cover under a highway overpass and filmed a tornado passing nearby. The footage was spectacular. The crew survived. It aired everywhere, and an entire country took the wrong lesson and locked it in. For a decade afterward, Americans genuinely believed an overpass was good shelter. Drivers abandoned their cars on the interstate and climbed into the girders. Here is what is actually happening under there. You have built a funnel. Wind accelerates when it is forced through a narrow gap. That is not theory, that is what fluid does. So an overpass takes an already lethal wind, speeds it up, and fires it, along with every piece of debris it carries, straight through the space you are hiding in. Nothing to hold on to. You are elevated, which is worse. And the cars piling up beneath you have blocked the road for everyone behind. On May 3, 1999, during the Oklahoma outbreak, people took shelter under overpasses. 3 died. Meanwhile, people who lay flat in ditches a few hundred yards away survived. An overpass is the worst place you can be, not the second worst, the worst. Number 2, cover your head and neck, always. If you remember nothing else, remember this one. It survived every decade, every revision, every advance in science, completely unchanged. Arms over your head, hands on the back of your neck, face down. Every generation of American mothers taught this. In the cellar under the quilt, in a school hallway in 1962, 40 children kneeling along a tile wall, hands laced behind their heads. It was in every drill then. It is in every drill now, and here is why it never changed. Studies of tornado fatalities keep finding the same thing. The most common cause of death is head injury, not being carried away, not the wind, blunt force trauma to the skull from something that was, 10 seconds earlier, part of a house, which means the difference between a survivable event and a fatal one often comes down to whether there was something over the top of your head, a mattress, a quilt, a helmet, your own arms. Emergency physicians in Oklahoma studied this after the 2013 outbreak and began recommending that families keep bicycle helmets with their tornado supplies, an actual clinical recommendation now in guidance across tornado country. Your great-grandmother figured that out with no data and no funding because she had seen what came out of the sky. Number 1, if you are caught in the open, get in the ditch. The last rule is the oldest one, and it gets argued about the most. So let us be precise. You are on foot or in a car. No building, no cellar. It is coming and you cannot get away. You get out of the car and away from it because it is about to become the largest piece of debris in your immediate area. You find the lowest spot you can reach, a ditch, a culvert, a depression in a field. You lie face down and cover your head. The physics is the logic of this entire list. Wind speed drops near the ground, and it drops fast in the last few feet. A ditch puts you below the debris stream. The 2x4s and the fence posts go over the top of you instead of through you. The caveats matter. A ditch can flood, and these storms carry torrential rain. Nothing outdoors is safe. If there is a building within reach, the building wins every time. The ditch is not about being safe. It is about the difference between something and nothing on the worst day of your life when every good option is gone. Farmers in Kansas taught it to their children before there was a weather bureau that would say the word. It survived radar, satellites, and the phone in your pocket completely intact because it was never about weather. It was about knowing what to do when nobody is coming to help you. That is what all 20 of these rules were about. Here is my challenge. Pick one, just one. Put the shoes by the bed tonight. Put the papers in a box. Find out where the walls are in your house. Then tell me in the comments which rule your family actually used. Somebody watching this has a grandmother who opened the windows, and somebody has a grandfather who lay in a ditch and lived. I want to know which ones survived in your family, because these were not superstitions. They were a warning system built out of nothing by people who had nothing, and it worked well enough that you exist.